So let's now take a look at the SMTA Fiesta Hot Hats Championship and the Scottish BMW's cars already on the grid. Macaulay on pole from current Mini Cooper Cup champion Mark Geraghty, who's making a one-off appearance in a Fiesta today, and away they go down towards the hairpin. Good start from everybody as they funnel down towards this tight hairpin here at Knockhill Racing Circuit, and it's Macaulay on the inside. Geraghty tries to go around the outside, but not to be. Blair Murdoch well up there as well in the second of the white car just now. Great to see Stuart Scott back in action, as we've got Cameron Bryant there in the orange car trying to get involved, and John Balfourwell up there as well, as the cars all make their way around towards Clark's. But just look at the lead Wayne Macaulay has got after one corner as he makes his way down the back straight towards the Arnold Clark chicane, pulling away from Mark Geraghty. Now we know Mark has form and class in the Minis, a little bit of a different car driving the Fiesta, but ultimately it should have the same kind of road holding and speed, one would imagine, as the cars come through McIntyre's and start to power back up the hill, up through Leslie's and over the crest of Duffus Dip. Macaulay streaks away, collects off the first lap, pulls ahead of Mark Geraghty, and he is going to be absolutely delighted when he looks in his mirror and sees that Geraghty is quite a bit behind him. And in turn, Mark will see Blair Murdoch off the back of him as well. Further back down, it looks like John Balfour was making a move going in towards the hairpin there. Can John get that done? Yes, he can. Cameron Bryant goes up the inside as well. Stuart Scott getting muscled out wide there. And Cameron Bryant does a good opportunistic manoeuvre. And he's got himself up behind John Balfour in the second of the two grey cars as Macaulay tips over the crest of Clark Corner. 1, 2, 3, away they go. Macaulay uses all the track and a bit more. Geraghty was running, almost looked like he was going to run a little bit wide there. You can see the back wheels of these cars pawing the air as they go around these tight corners. Just shows how stiff and rigid their little chassis is, with a good suspension in the roll cage, fully welded in roll cages in most of these cars, and they really are a bit of a work of art when you see inside them. In towards McIntyre's we go, and that's Russell Morgan there having a look at the back of Stuart Scott now. And has Russell Morgan got anything for Stuart Scott? That's what we need to find out as the race goes on. John Balfour, maybe expected John to be a little bit further up the field, to be honest. Didn't make the best of qualifying efforts today, but I'm pretty sure that will get better. You can see the heat haze as well. It's something nice to see at Knockhill. Bit of a heat haze, never goes amiss. But just look at Wayne Macaulay, absolutely stamping his authority on this. Leaves a nice set of skid marks as well from the front end of that car, as you can see it driving out with the hairpin. He's obviously got that set up perfectly, and Cameron Bryant, well, he's gone past John Balfour there. Was that a mistake with Balfour, or did Bryant really put that car up the inside and not give him much of a chance? Well, yet to find out, but the move is completed as they get towards Clark Corner. Good stuff from the young man. He's past John Balfour, and that will only make John Balfour angry, and he could expect him to try and come back. There's the leader, goes up through Butchers. Wayne Macaulay chased by Mark Geraghty, who just clips the apex cab at Butchers and also at McIntyre's. Blair Murdoch as well. It's great to see Blair back, we should say that. He's been missing for a few seasons, but got his race programme back on course. And when Blair Murdoch's fast, he's always at the sharp end. He does enjoy racing at Knockhill, and obviously the reverse direction configuration is new to just about everybody. They've done a little bit of it before, but it's great to see it back on the calendar as they make their way to the hairpin. Oh, you can see Blair Murdoch's car there dancing about the brakes. Really pitched forward, the back end went light. It looked like there was maybe a little bit too much back brake in that. Whether that's something the driver can adjust with some of these tools inside the car, not 100% sure, but I will find out as the leader goes through Clark Corner. Wayne Macaulay in the grey car, Mark Geraghty in the blue car, then Blair Murdoch in the white car. Cameron Bryant hasn't shaken off the attentions of John Balfour. No, he won't have, because John will just be angry that he's gone behind Cameron Bryant as they go through the Arnold Clark chicane. Now let's talk a little bit about Wayne Macaulay, the defending champion. He comes in to the SMTA Fiesta Hot Hats Championship and the Scottish BMWs as the man to beat, the form man. And look at him, absolutely stamping his authority all over this one. It looks like a demonstration drive, taking nothing away from everybody else, but he looks like he just has the absolute car underneath him, and he's able to put it where he wants it on the road and make it look very, very easy. Much to everybody else's dismay, Macaulay is disappearing into the distance, and all the guys have to try and follow and have to try and pass. Cameron Bryant, car number 27, holds off John Balfour in car number 14, the fuel tone car. Lovely car that John Balfour's brought himself along this year. Looks very similar to Wayne McCauley's, just different colours of trim, as Wayne uses all the track at the exit of Clark Corner there, and down towards the Arnold Clark chicane he goes. Tricky corner of the chicane, you can actually attack it a lot quicker than you actually think going in the first direction. It's all about releasing that brake pedal, get off the brake pedal and try and carry the speed over the first apex curb. You can see a few of them possibly missing the first apex curb there, and just kissing the second one as well. Through this whole complex of corners, it's all about linking them up. McIntyre's, it's so easy to go in too hot, just like that there. You saw Stuart Scott missing his apex, drifting wide through the corner. Then that's going to hurt you through the next two corners, and ultimately then up onto the straight. Not what you want to be doing. Thankfully, nobody right up behind him, so he gives himself a little bit of a breather over Russell Morgan. Over the crest of the hill to go to get another lap underneath him. Look at Wayne McCauley's car, though. It just looks absolutely sorted as we zoom in towards the apex there. And through goes Geraghty and Murdoch. Cameron Bryant, John Balfour. Now, are they catching up with Blair Murdoch? That's something we're going to have to keep our eyes on. Car number 5 there. That was Lorne Murray as well. The red car just behind Russell Morgan, as we catch back up with the leader as he comes through Clark Corner. Goes down that all-important back straight. You can see him, he's off the brake pedal quite early, and he throws, but doesn't throw the car, just teeters the car over towards the apex. And through he goes. We wait, a day and an age for Mark Geraghty to come through. And Mark, though, he's got a nice buffer over Blair Murdoch, so he'll be pretty happy with the current situation inside that number 67 Paul Curtis Racing Run Fiesta. Paul Curtis, a man who looks after quite a lot of cars on these grids, the grid, PCR. You can find him at Knockhill Racing Circuit. Lovable guy, very likeable, always seems to smile, and does manage to produce and put good race cars on the track, and does a little bit of racing himself. But it's always important that you don't beat the customers, Paul. As Lorne Murray goes up the main straight, chases hard to try and catch up with Russell Morgan. But I do like that shot. You can see the acceleration marks. You can see how early McCauley's on the gas as he leaves the corner there. Completely contrasting line from Geraghty and Murdoch. Cameron Bryant takes the exact same line as McCauley, goes over the exact same skid marks. So he must be doing something right, that young man in the number 27 car. As we go round towards Clark Corner. Current fastest lap of the race does go to Wayne McCauley, a 61.2 second lap. The only man in the 61 second bracket, a full second faster than Mark Geraghty. Now this is eye-watering stuff if you're the opposition, because Wayne McCauley is just stamping them. He's making them look like they're in second-rate machinery right now, and we know they're not. So Wayne McCauley has come out with all guns a-blazing in this SMTA Fiesta Hot Hats Championship, and the Scottish BMWs as well. If you've got the Compact Cup car, you're more than happy and welcome to pitch your rear-wheel drive car against these front-wheel drive cars, and that will be actually quite interesting as the championship goes on, especially if we get a couple of wet rounds. Now let's focus on what we're at just now and what we have in hand. It's quite spaced out for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. We wait to see the next car coming in. It should be Stuart Scott. It is. Stuart Scott runs wide though. Russell Morgan goes underneath him. Good move, Russell Morgan. Now was Stuart Scott defending on the way in there, or did Russell Morgan kind of have a little pop shot as they come into view? Either way, Morgan takes a position from Stuart Scott. Now Stuart Scott qualified quite well, but he's just managed to dribble his way back down. He comes back up then, steering towards Clark's. It's a brave manoeuvre, but Morgan throws the blue Fiesta across the nose. Lorne Murray getting a fabulous view of that, and probably hoping and wishing he could be just that little bit closer, but it will come, Lorne. Don't worry, it will come. John Balfour, however, has got nothing for Cameron Bryant ahead of him. He's been there for most of the race. Cameron Bryant has a comfortable buffer over him, and he's got a big enough gap ahead of him to Blair Murdoch that he's probably happy where he's sitting. He's not going to try and overdrive the car. That's something you don't want to do. But John Balfour, try as he may, has nothing for the young man in number 27. And we should mention Cameron's brother Rory, who runs and operates the SMS, the strategic group set up by the MSA to promote motorsport in Scotland, 2 and 4 wheels. And yeah, I saw Rory having a little bit of a word in the paddock with Cameron, so obviously passing on some of his knowledge. And I believe Rory actually raced that car at one time in its career as well. So it must be an old car. We'll gloss over that quite quickly. I think it's probably for the best. As they all go through Clark Corner, John Balfour still try as he may though. Cameron Bryant looking very cool and calm and collected in that orange number 27 as he goes over the Arnold Clark chicane Ahead of them, Blair Murdoch, and Blair will be delighted to be on the podium. And he's keeping Mark Geraghty honest, we've got to say that. The current Celtic Speed Mini Cooper Cup champion, Mark Geraghty, deciding not to defend his championship this year. Deciding to do events which he wants to cherry pick, doesn't want to have the full-on intensity of a defence of a championship. It's hard enough to win a championship, all the greats say it's harder to defend it. So Mark Geraghty just cherry picking some fun events for himself this year, and finding the Fiestas is a great way to get involved. And right now, his first time out in the car, only drove it for the first time this morning. He's got himself in second place in the podium. Now Cameron Bryant's under pressure from John Balfour. Whether Cameron made a mistake coming onto the straight or Balfour was just hotter and better into the hairpin, he has closed right up there. And young Cameron's going to have to keep his wits about him as we're getting towards the tail end of the race now. Down the back straight we go. Macaulay still leads the way, remember, from Geraghty number 67 and 85. The white car of Blair Murdoch just ahead of that orange number 27 which we were looking at. But this man, Wayne Macaulay, has just made it a demonstration. You can see the spectators sunning themselves on the bank, and he's probably looking at them as he's going round, such is the size of his lead. Wayne Macaulay will be absolutely delighted with how things have transpired for him in this race. In towards the hairpin, the car just looks so planted on the brakes. There's no dancing about from that car, which we see from just about every other car. So Wayne's got a car built for himself this year to the absolute perfect specification that he wants. Cameron Bryant there, still under pressure from John Balfour. And this is for fourth place, remember, because there's your second place man there. And is Blair Murdoch in third place, starting to catch up with Mark Geraghty. This is going to be quite exciting towards the end of the race. Nobody can really relax apart from Wayne Macaulay. He could probably pour himself a flask of coffee or tea and cruise round to victory just now. But these guys, second, third, fourth and fifth, are all in their little battles. They've got to keep on it all the way, otherwise the man behind them is going to pounce and steal that position away. John Balfour just misses the apex curb there. Now, is that a plan by him to miss the apex curb at McIntyre's and get a better run through? Let's see what he does at the top of the hill here. All the guys just skimming the edge of that curb and then making their way up the hill towards the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge. Crossing the line and heading down towards the hairpin. You can see Mark Geraghty's car just bobs about in the brakes, as does Blair Murdoch's car. Leaving the hairpin. The battle for fourth place still well and truly in it. We can see further down though, behind this, Russell Morgan still ahead of Stuart Scott and Lorne Murray, and Gordon Haston out there as well. As up comes Wayne Macaulay in the grey car, number one defending champion. We've mentioned that already, and we wait a big long time. What do we actually wait? Is it almost 10 seconds? It's 9 and a bit seconds right now, so a massive gap in a one-make series. This is something you do not see happening very often. But Wayne Macaulay wins the race from Mark Geraghty, Blair Murdoch, Cameron Bryant, John Balfour, Russell Morgan, Stuart Scott, Lorne Murray and Gordon Haston.